Something that I'm obviously going to address because, I've been fucking furious about it on Twitter is basically, well, we were all locked down and getting mandates and lockdowns and restrictions and everything like just thrust upon us from, when we never asked for it. It turns out that the Tories were all having little Christmas parties and all getting drunk together and snorting cocaine and doing all manners of shit. So, well, your grandmother died alone in the hospital because you were not allowed to go in and see her and hold her hand while she went off into the afterlife. She got to sit there in a room full of nurses that she didn't know and did not care about. While all of that was happening, the Tories were all sitting there breaking the rules that they put in place so that they could have a Christmas party. And by the way, it was not just one. It turns out that there could have been anything up to 10 parties held by the Tories in various locations after they passed all the lockdown rules. After they passed all the rules. So basically, the Tory party and Boris Johnson are standing on a little bit of a knife edge right now. And the thing that makes me greatly concerned about that is the other option is fucking Labour. People that despise human rights, despise Britain like as a whole, and definitely do not have a great track record when it comes to freedom of speech, especially since a lot of their supporters are radical socialists, who don't exactly have freedom in mind for the type of government that they want to bring in. Boris Johnson's furious MPs worry that his next misstep could be fatal. Yeah, basically everyone in the Tory party is greatly fell out with Boris Johnson because he's a fucking idiot. A string of self-inflicted crises have sent the Prime Minister's poll numbers tumbling and spurred questions about how long he will survive in number 10. As Boris Johnson's government spirals out of control, his shell-shocked and angry MPs are wondering where the next blow will come from, and there's already been talks of a vote of no confidence in Boris Johnson. A relentless series of self-inflicted crises have seen the Prime Minister's poll ratings plummet over the past few weeks, and his party is starting to ask whether or not the next one could be fatal. Another unnecessary hit could prompt backbenchers to submit the secret letters that can trigger a no-confidence vote. Or it could be Johnson's cabinet colleagues who have a quiet word to say his time is up, just as they did in the final throes of Margaret Thatcher's premiership in 1990. It's those senior ministers who pose the most immediate threat, according to John Curtis, Professor of Politics at the University of Strathclyde. Does the majority of the cabinet come to the conclusion they're no longer willing to bat for him? Curtis said at that point he is toast. And yeah, he is being propped up by a lot of like the higher ups in the Tory party purely because when the big man's in charge, you want to hang out with the cool kids. You want to hang out with the leader of the jocks. Leader of the jocks, big man baby. I just had another baby. How many fucking kids does he have, man? It seems like every week he's fucking having a baby. A chaotic sequence of events reached its nadir for the Prime Minister on Wednesday when no one from the government would go out to defend him over an alleged party at his Downing Street residence that breached COVID restrictions at the height of the pandemic. And what has made everyone truly upset about this is the Tories were just willy-nilly breaking the rules that they expected everyone else to obey. People were given fines, people were arrested, people had businesses closed down for breaking these rules, and the Tories were the ones that put them in place. And if you think, like, no, Labour wouldn't have just put in the same rules, they would have put in worse rules, right? But that's by the by. But the fact is that people suffered greatly at the hands of these government-imposed rules. And here was the government just breaking these rules, flaunting it, and also joking about them breaking it. There was a woman, I forget her name, that's how forgettable she was. Basically, there was a video emerged of her laughing and joking about the Christmas party and, kind of being a bit of a bitch and making fun of how everybody else had to obey the lockdown rules. But we are the chosen ones. We are the government and everything. And then basically, yeah, she quit. Yeah, sorry, she quit. She did quit. They were like, "You're going to go out there right now. You're going to cry. You're going to read a big apology. You're going to read a big statement, and you will distance yourself from the Prime Minister." But by that point, and she did all that. She did all that. Went on telly, cried a lot, and everything. Resigned from her position. Resigned from the Tory Party, but It's too late. The damage had already been done. The moment brought the criticisms of Johnson into sharp focus. His determined denials as the evidence against him piles up, his readiness to send others out to carry the can, and his apparent ability to turn a blind eye to rule breaking as thousands of people across the country let their relatives die alone rather than risk spreading the virus. But oh yeah, at first when all the party stuff came out, no, definitely wasn't a party. The definitely was not a party at 10 Downing Street. And then okay, maybe there was a party at 10 Downing. I don't really remember. That's, okay, it turns out that there was in fact a party at 10 Downing Street, and we are investigating the situation. It turns out maybe there was around 5 parties. It was just, yeah, it was basically like deny, but then the more and more the evidence came out, he just kept changing his fucking story every time. Fucking, that's how bad it was. Health Secretary Sajid Javid even pulled out of a planned round of interviews after a video emerged showing number 10 aides joking about the issue. That's one of the ones that came out. Conservative Party history is littered with ruthlessness on these occasions. Former Cabinet Minister Andrew Mitchell told the BBC on Thursday, describing the mood in the party as sulphurous. Sulphurous? Sulphurous? What a curious choice of words. A bunch of Tories in a room, and the mood was sulphurous. Sulphurous. That is a curious choice of words. What is it that smells like sulphur again? With many of his own MPs starting to... I need to stop talking to him on Skype. Yeah, Alex Jones still uses Skype. Started to publicly question Johnson's ability to govern. The Prime Minister this week faces a major rebellion over stricter COVID rules and a difficult by-election in what should be a safe Conservative seat. Yes, because even after he and all these little cronies got caught, like, breaking COVID rules, his response was to go, yes, probably might be more lockdowns, more rules, and blah, blah. Well, how about fuck you? How about fuck you and fuck your rules? If you won't even obey the rules that you're setting, why should we? Why should we? Stick it up your arse, you blonde fucker. With many... Nearly said something else there. It's... At least I'm honest. The mounting problems are already undermining Johnson's authority with his party. On Wednesday, Tory MPs lined up in the House of Commons to publicly attack the government's decision to ask people to work from home and introduce vaccine passports in large venues, because after all, why should everyone accept you passing these rules if you won't even follow them yourself? They don't seem to fear any consequences for that, said Alice Lilly, a senior researcher at the Institute for Government think tank. Yeah, the fact is, if you belong to like the Conservative Party or even the Labour Party and you stand up and you criticise the actual leader, especially if the leader is the Prime Minister, that means you're showing no fear, which means that that person has lost a lot of power within the party, and yeah, it won't be long now. Johnson always had an uneasy relationship with the Conservative Party because for the longest time he was a big meme. Boris was just like, that's shut, he's just a little retarded kid that sits in the corner. Don't mind him. He's funny sometimes. Another motherfucker became Prime Minister. He never dazzled in his previous ministerial roles, nor does he have the loyalty of any particular faction of MPs. He was written off as a buffoon in many quarters until suddenly, after the demise of Theresa May in 2019, his charm and personality and his triumph as the unofficial face of Brexit made him irresistible. That honeymoon period is well and truly over now. I'm sorry, I'm just listening because I think there's a fight happening outside. 2 polls on Wednesday showed more than half of the respondents think that Johnson should resign, while a third on Friday gave Keir Starmer's Labour Party a 4-point lead. Oh, Jesus, please don't. The Tories' worst poll rating in 11 months. For all the speculation, there is no sign yet of any immediate challenger to Johnson, although a bunch of people have apparently Priti Patel is considering it. Whom his opponents could rally around, and though both Foreign Secretary Liz Truss and Chancellor Rishi Sunak are said to be quietly readying themselves for a potential leadership campaign, the Prime Minister is also getting support from his cabinet. I feel very comfortable about the Prime Minister's integrity, Business Minister Paul Scully told the BBC on Friday. Yeah, Jesus Christ, Paul. That's it. That is wishful thinking there. Clearly, though, I don't feel comfortable with the fact that it's been a difficult week for the government. It's been a difficult week. Like, yes, but Boris Johnson's integrity is intact, and it has been a bit of a difficult week. That is that is the most generous framing. That's okay. I think you might be underestimating everything that happened, Paul. But anyway, the Christmas recess will shut down the parliamentary theatre and offer an opportunity to rest. If he hasn't re-established control by the end of January, then his opponents, either on the backbenches or in the cabinet, may feel ready to move against him, according to one Tory figure, because politics is an awful lot like high school. Tory MP, speaking on condition of anonymity, say that they've been left high and dry by a government that led them into controversial votes, only to back down the next day. Johnson has also failed to shut down damaging stories by being open and truthful from the start, they said, and they are dismayed that no one in Number 10 was able to prevent mistakes like trying to protect former Minister Owen Paterson, who was found guilty of paid lobbying. Why didn't they protect the man that did paid lobbying? It was the handling of the Patterson affair that began Johnson's unravelling, and his multiple problems will be in focus again when voters in North Shropshire elect his successor on Thursday. The Liberal Democrats have been distributing leaflets that contrast the festivities of Johnson's aides with the reality faced by most people last year. The scandal over the Christmas party has energised the Lib Dem campaign over the past week, one party official said. The defeat for the Tories in this rural, largely pro-Brexit district would be a massive blow to Johnson's credibility. Patterson held the seat with a majority of almost 23,000 in 2019, more than 60% of the vote. But it's this string of revelations about Downing Street parties and Johnson's role in them that may pose the biggest danger. The Premier faces accusations that several parties were held across government in winter 2020, just as the government faced severe restrictions on socialising, with people even being unable to visit dying relatives in hospital. And that's the bit that gets me. People died alone in hospital. Like, the thing that you want on your deathbed is to, you raise a family, you have grandkids, you have all these friends and relations. You don't want to be able to see the walls for people, just everyone gathered around your deathbed. That's what you want. You want to be able to shake everyone's hand, give everyone hugs, and go like that. Anyway, off I go. And by the way, the treasure is buried in. I'm going to do that. I'm absolutely going to fucking do that. But that's what you want on your way out. But imagine having all of that family, all of those friends wanting to come and see you, and they can't. You die alone in a room while the Tories are all snorting, ching, and dancing to fucking ABBA. Fuck that. Fuck that, and fuck these arseholes. Absolutely fuck. Government was a bad idea. Government was a bad idea. Fuck these people. I'm not even reading this anymore. I'm going home. Bye bye.